Localizing two massive pieces of NFL news and making it about the Texans. Plus, it looked like something difficult, but it might actually be an East feast. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah, it's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too. Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localize every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top two and we not too plugged in daily digital.
Robert Saleh fired. Drake Maye going to get the start. It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. I'm Landry Locker, on the scene every day, live nightly at 10:30 and in the morning on S and L, covering all things Texans. And today I kind of want to localize the two pieces of news, and I want to put it into one thing that I think has changed significantly when it comes to the outlook of the Houston Texans in 2024. And I think it's something that I don't think anyone predicted this, but it kind of will make you think different about the tasks ahead for the Texans as this season continues. Be sure to subscribe, be sure to like, be sure to ride along, be sure to be active in the chat, because we like to bring those to the forefront. Super chats go to the front. But I want to start with the Robert Saleh thing. Robert Saleh fired by the Jets. And I think that the thing that comes to my mind first, like as you localize it, is Robert Saleh could have easily been in a better situation had they not drafted a quarterback in the 2021 draft, which the Texans, I'm talking a quarterback in the first round. They ended up taking Davis Mills, but the Texans could have very well been in that situation had Deshaun Watson not been untradeable. And it's almost like one of those blessings in disguise. And I actually did this video and I talked about this last year, but it kind of comes full circle now because you're seeing a coach get fired and you're seeing them selling their souls to the devil for Aaron Rodgers, which I think is actually kind of irrelevant when it comes to localizing it with the Texans, outside of the fact that in 23 days, the Texans face Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. But if the Texans had been able to trade Deshaun Watson in that draft, there's a really good chance that the Jets would have been interested. There's a really, really good chance the Jets would have been interested. They had extra draft picks. They needed a quarterback. And before that, there was talk from the Watson camp that perhaps he wanted to be there. And with that number 2 pick, who knows what the Texans do? Maybe they take Mac Jones. Maybe they take Zach Wilson. Maybe they take Trey Lance. But I think we can all agree they wouldn't be in a good spot, and they probably maybe wouldn't have been in position to get CJ Stroud. So that's the first thing that comes to mind, is just kind of the blessing in disguise. And sometimes you get lucky not to be involved in stuff. The other thing that comes to mind, like in the immediate, is the Jets were supposed to be, and they were believed to be, a team that was trying to get to the same level the Texans were. Now, there was no body of work or anything like that. There was nothing that was actually laid out to where you actually thought, okay, they accomplished this last year. It was all hypothetical. And quite frankly, it was a really, really big kind of silly hypothetical if we think about it. The hypothetical was, well, if Aaron Rodgers can go back to being really, really good, the Jets are going to be fine. And this is Tom Brady sickness. Because Tom Brady balled out at 40, and all of a sudden it's like, well, someone else can do it. We haven't seen that. Peyton Manning falls off. Drew Brees kind of fell off. Once he crept up on 40, got to 40, you fall off. You don't win 3 Super Bowls after the age of 40 like Tom Brady did. That doesn't happen. The last year we saw, even before last year with Aaron Rodgers, wasn't great. So, yeah, there was talk about the Texans getting to the top tier, and who knows if they do. There's still a lot of football to be played. There's still a lot of flaws on this team that could be massive when you start facing elite teams late in the season. But the Jets just seems really, really far-fetched. And it's damn sure, at the very least, it's not the team that you thought you were going to see on Halloween. Because I don't even think in your wildest dreams, you would have predicted that the Jets would be firing Robert Saleh this early in the season. Quite frankly, I don't think that he probably should have been fired. I mean, maybe so, because you have sold your soul to Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is the ghost of Aaron Rodgers, I should say. And by the way, how appropriate is it that the Texans on Halloween are facing a ghost? The ghost of Aaron Rodgers. You ever see people on Halloween dress up as dead people? That's basically what that guy in the Jets uniform is right there. It's the ghost of Aaron Rodgers. That guy's cooked. Maybe he can go from being one of the worst quarterbacks in the league to maybe mediocre, but that guy's cooked. That's the ghost of Aaron Rodgers. This is not Tom Brady glory days. Matter of fact, they might need to do a who wore it best and who did better side by side of Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers in a Jet uniform. I know in Green Bay they like to argue who was better, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers, and it can go a number of ways. Both got a lot of MVPs and one Super Bowl. They need to do it with the Jets. Might be a little bit more one-sided of a debate. I think Brett Favre was a better Jet than Aaron Rodgers. So the Jets are in an interesting spot. They got an interim coach going in. They got Nathaniel Hackett still there. And they got a coach fired in Robert Saleh. This was supposed to be a really tough game. Still probably will be. It's on a short week. And there's still a lot of talent on that team. But it's not nearly what we thought it would be at all. That's the Jets. Robert Saleh, by the way, one of Nico Ryan's mentors. He has put out there that he will not be coaching for anyone else in 2024. Maybe he'll get a phone call or something. D'Amico to Saleh. Hey, what about this? What do you mean you got integrity? Man, they escorted you out of the building. Come on, man. Tell me. Oh, in that case, maybe you pick Robert Saleh's brain. Who knows? But he's definitely not the guy. He's definitely not the guy that people thought he would be. He's got him held hostage. He's got the Jets by the nuts. So that was the one piece of news. That dropped today during SNL, and we reacted to it a little bit, myself and Cody Stutes, with our simulcast. Two guys on the digital beat, live every morning, and in the afternoon on Friday after the final injury report. So that's the Jets. Okay. Elsewhere in the AFC East, the Patriots. Remember when I don't know that are y'all surprised? Because this is just me personally. I'm not going to speak for y'all. Y'all probably watch the games a lot differently than me, which, yeah, judging by the chat and judging by the interaction, you do. And you're probably better off for it. But do you watch the New England Patriots and just completely not even remember Tom Brady and Bill Belichick at this point? Like, has it been so uninspiring since Brady and Belichick left that you just forget about it? Because the reason I say that is because there's some teams like when I was young that I watched like on a certain stage, and regardless of whether they were in like a golden age and then they're not what they once were, I still kind of get like I still kind of feel like there's some sort of nostalgia when they're on the TV screen. Some of y'all might not want to admit this. Some of y'all might not agree with this. Some of y'all might not subscribe to it. But I'll just say this: like, let's say I'm watching the game and I got the remote in my hand. I get a remote in my hand just to be more accurate. So let's say I'm sitting there and I'm watching the game and I turn on the Dallas Cowboys. Damn, there's like a little bit of like a little bit of nostalgia there. Let's say, Green Bay. Okay, yeah, I remember them back in the day. San Francisco. Yeah, I remember that. Steelers. The Patriots are basically like that. They're basically the Sunday ticket team you don't want to watch. Like for a team that was good that long, and I think it's the most impressive dynasty in the history of sports when you look at the league they did it in and the fact that there's two GOATs at the two most important positions, head coach and quarterback. But when you turn on, it's like, whatever. I mean, Patriots, okay. Like, you don't even feel like there's like some sort of standard of excellence. I think there's a delusional standard of excellence sometimes with the Cowboys at this point. Steelers kind of mediocre. They're not what they were, but you can at least like entertain the standard of excellence. I don't even look at the Patriots that way anymore. I just don't. It's kind of crazy. And that brings me to the next piece of news. Drake Maye will start Sunday for the New England Patriots. So the next attempt at finding a franchise quarterback for the Patriots, it starts Sunday with Drake Maye. I mean, we've seen Caleb Williams. He's been kind of up and down. We've seen Daniels, who's just completely I mean, he is CJ Stroud and maybe even at a higher level this year with what he's got going in Washington. And now we'll see Drake Maye. First start against the Texans, team that is number 1 in the league in pressure rate. They're not able to get sacks. He's kind of one of those guys that's going to run into some sacks. This young man is going to run into some sacks. He's also a guy that can make some incredible plays. He can also make some dumb plays. I think this is a good draw for the Texans. Maybe not as surprising as the Jets, but it's a good draw for the Texans. The New England Patriots offensive line, I want to get this stat right. Cody Stutes actually put it out. So I want to give him credit for it. The New England Patriots offensive line is the worst at allowing pressure rate. The Texans have the league's best quarterback pressure rate at 42%. The New England Patriots have the league's worst quarterback pressure allowed rate at 48%. So 42% of the time on passing plays, the Texans are getting pressure, which close but no cigar a lot of times. The Patriots, 48.3% of the time in passes, they're allowing pressure. I mean, that's a pretty good statistical combo if you're trying to end a sack slump that the Texans appear to be into. So yeah, someone says pause that, run into some sacks. Okay, pause. But that is funny. Run into some sacks. Well, you are deep in the game right now. Gotcha though. Pause. But you got Drake Maye, who will start for the Patriots on Sunday. I don't think that's ideal for him against this squad, which is why BetUS right now actually has the Patriots. And shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this thing. I want to wait to see what the line movement on this is before I make a wager. But I will say this: you can get 150% bonus by opening an account and just using the promo code YouTube 150. You use YouTube 150, you get 150% back. So you put 10 in, you get 25. You put 1,000 in, boom, 2,500. It's a hell of a deal. Strong recommendation to do that. Shout out to BetUS for sponsoring the video. Drake Maye gonna get the start. Right now, the line, we'll pull this up a little bit later and make a bet. I'll show you what they got cooking here. They got right now, BetUS, they got the Texans at what? They're not even putting it on the board right now, so we can't even make the bet. So that they're trying to figure out what the hell's up with this Drake Maye thing. You think we're trying to figure it out? Look at this. We got San Francisco, we got Jacksonville, Washington, Arizona, Cleveland, Indianapolis, LA, Las Vegas, Atlanta. That's what was so confusing. So the line's not even up. So the smart people can't even decide, but it doesn't matter because you get the money in your account now. YouTube 150, I bet US 150% cash back, and they should have a line up shortly. They don't have theirs up. I don't think ESPN has theirs up either. Vegas is trying to figure out, okay, this Drake Maye fellow, we've never seen him play. This offensive line sucks. We don't know who's playing for the Texans. ESPN has it at -7. Bet US is still trying to figure it out. So maybe you get it at 7.5. Maybe you get it at 6.5. Maybe it drops. Right now it's at 7. So this is definitely not. This is one of those lines you don't want to bet on a Tuesday because you might be confident. If you get it at 6.5, that's great. But that's what we got in the AFC East. Those two pieces of information. Someone's saying they're thinking Texans -5. Okay. If it drops, then that'll be interesting. Yeah, you got -7. Bet US is trying to figure out what they want to do. So there's probably a few people trying to figure out what maybe they want to see that first injury report. Who pops up on it? They might be waiting for Nico, if we're being honest. Bet US. A lot of times you can benefit from these things. But yeah, they might honestly be saying, hey, is Nico Collins going to go? Who knows? Shout out to Bet US. Shout out to Space City Ballers. Crazy ass Space City Ballers. What the F is up, Landry? Let's go. Let's go. So I brought up all of these things when it came to the AFC East because when we looked at the Texans schedule at the start of the season, there was talk, rightfully so, about just how difficult the schedule was. And it's not an easy schedule by any means. But let's just look in the division. Right now in the division, you have a 2-game lead. 2 weeks in, you were the second team in NFL history to start out 2-0, and everybody else in the division started out 0-2. The Titans have a quarterback situation from hell. The Colts, they have a quarterback situation from hell. The Jags just won their first game, and it was week 5. We were wondering if their coach was going to get fired. They're an underdog to the Bears this week. The Jags. The Titans are coming off of their bye week. They're going to face the Colts. So one of those two teams is going to lose. Colts right now sitting at 2-3. So when you look at the schedule, that right there is 6 games in a division where you don't feel like it's very good. So that kind of changes the way we looked at the schedule earlier in the season. Now you still have to go to Green Bay. That's going to be tough. You still got to play the Jets on a short week. It's not as tough as maybe we thought it would be, but that's not easy because that field is tough. You got the Lions on Sunday Night Football. You're going to Dallas on Monday night. Who knows about that? You got to go to Kansas City. You host the Ravens, although it is a short week. But one of the reasons that we said, or many people said, that the Texans had such a tough schedule because you drew the AFC East. You thought the AFC East before the season might be one of the toughest schedules in football. You didn't look at it like when you draw a crappy division and it's like, oh, thank God we got that division this year. And that changes each year. But there have been years where you're like, oh, hell yes, we got the AFC whatever. You're playing in one of the worst divisions, arguably. And then you got the AFC East. And before the season, we looked at the AFC East and we said, damn, Aaron Rodgers and all this talent with the Jets and, all the Achilles, what's going to go down there? Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, man, you got to play them. That's going to be tough. Could I interest you in a stat when it comes to Josh Allen? And this was supposed to be one of the more difficult teams. Allen had the lowest, and this was from Kay Adams, Allen had the lowest completion percentage for a QB with 30-plus pass attempts in a game in 32 years. It's 1992. I think that was when the Cowboys won their first Super Bowl with Jimmy Johnson. That's how long ago that was. That's how much the Texans kept that in check. And that was supposed to be the most difficult part of the AFC East. That's over. You've already eaten when it comes to this Texans East feast which are going to feast on the AFC East in a schedule that it didn't appear that was possible on. You already got the appetizer done. The appetizer, you make Allen look historically awful and you beat the Bills. That's the appetizer. This could be a restaurant known for its appetizers. Who knows? The people who said that the Miami Dolphins would be the best of the division, that was the other side of this Buffalo discussion. Man, look out for Miami. Look at those receivers. Man, they made the playoffs last year. They're going to take the next step. Oh my gosh, look at the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, they suck. They don't have a quarterback. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Mike McDaniel. He looks like a damn goofball. Even more of a goofball than he did before on the sidelines. I don't know what he's trying to pull. Pants keep getting tighter and higher, and it looks like he hasn't showered in weeks. He's got that hair. I feel like he might be losing his mind. I don't know what he's trying to do. He looks like a damn cartoon character. It's like a freaking extra in The Sopranos or something like that. He's losing his damn mind. They're somehow 2-3. So that's another bad squad. So you've already got the appetizer. Now you got the bread. You got to beat rookie Drake Maye as a TD favorite in New England. So you've already taken care of Buffalo as the appetizer. Now the bread's out there on the table. It's probably stale ass nasty bread too, if we're being honest, depending on how you look at it. Maybe it's some Olive Garden bread if you think that easier wins are better. But that's what it should be. You got the bread. Beat Drake Maye as a TD favorite in New England. Then you're halfway through the AFC East. What's next for the Texans East feast? You got the main course. You got to beat a team without a coach with a washed-up quarterback on a short week. Not easy. I get that. The playing surface is not ideal. But compared to what you thought the Jets would be, they don't have a coach. They got a quarterback who now is the face of what's wrong with the Jets. They're talking about trading for Devontae Adams for what? Y'all can't block. And your quarterback's not good anymore. You got one of the best young receivers in the league who CJ Stroud threw to at Ohio State, and you're wasting him. Breece Hall's pissing off a lot of people in fantasy. That's easy too. That's the main course. And then you got the desserts. You play the Dolphins in December. You're going to be coming off of a bye week. I think the Dolphins bye is this week. You're going to be coming off of a bye week. And the Dolphins are going to be checked out in December. Tua are going to come save the day. He wasn't even playing good before he got hurt. He was getting roasted for playing like crap. So what looked like a hard part of your schedule, of a very difficult schedule, now it just looks like a feast. It looks like an opportunity to feast. Nothing's guaranteed. NFL, like they could lose any of these games. I mean, stranger things have happened than losing to Drake Maye, especially when you're not going to have Nico Collins. Stranger things have happened. You go out there and lose to the Jets. You already beat the Bills. Dolphins, okay, you're going to be coming off of a bye. They're always banged up. They're already banged up. Who the hell knows what's going to be going on by then? It's an East feast, though. You're in good shape. Really, really good shape when it comes to the East. So you look at that remaining schedule, the state of the East, the fact you've already got the most difficult thing done, it's laying out for you. Drake Maye's making his first start. How do you think that's going to go? I mean, there's some quarterbacks who set the world on fire in their first start. CJ Stroud struggled in his first start. And he was going against a good defense. Drake Maye is going against a defense that has the most pressures in the NFL on the D-line. Physical ass corners. Doesn't have very good receivers to throw to. Their top running back fumbles all the time. Maybe you get Joe Mixon back. Maybe you don't. Not going to have Nico Collins. So there's that. Probably not going to have Jimmy Ward. So there's that. But other than that, you're in good shape. You're looking at 5-1. And then you got to go to Green Bay. Then you got the Colts again. You talk about running away with the division now. if you're able to feast on the East the way that the Texans should, be in really good shape. No doubt. Space City Ballers wants a comfortable win this week. Tired of the close games. Usually games we're supposed to dominate. We struggled last year. Panthers, Falcons, Jets. Let's look at those individually. Panthers was just a terrible game. That was a piss poor performance. Falcons, you lost Tank early in the second half, and the defense wasn't able to hold up. You did have CJ Heroics right after the 2-minute warning. Maybe they scored a little bit too early, left too much time on the clock for Desmond Ridder. Just kidding. Not really, because we saw the result. So you had that, though. And then the Jets was just an absolute perfect storm of garbage. They looked terrible. Nico Collins, after getting a catch, got hurt. Tank Dell was out. Schultz was out. The weather was terrible. That was just a bad one. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that because, that's why I brought up the rat poison with D'Amico Ryans this week. Because, look, you watched Alabama go out there and beat Georgia, and then they go lose to Vanderbilt the next week. Happens all the time, like the big letdown that everyone talks about. I don't know if it's always because you believe your own hype. I think it's just easy to say that for like a Saban or anything, but that can happen. And we saw that. Now, I will say this. I think there's probably a pretty good chance that almost every fan base in the NFL says that about a game or two over the course of an NFL season. That's why these survivor pools that everyone's in, like, some of them are already done right now. Like, they don't last in the NFL. So, you point to this game or that game and you say, well, they can't afford to let down. And I'm sure that like maybe the Chiefs don't do that. Although, I think the Chiefs lost to the Raiders last year. So sometimes it does happen. I don't know if it's like some mental thing, but I will say this. I don't think there's any excuse to lose to the Patriots this week. Those could be famous last words. I just don't. I don't think there's any excuse. If they lose to the Patriots, then that's a disaster. With everything that the Texans have done, and with everything that they've done up to this point, to put something on the right side, an L to the Patriots, that would be a damn shame. Yeah, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Keep the comments coming. But there's no excuse to lose this game. None. People say it feels like a trap. Could be. But we're talking about a guy making his first start in Drake Maye. I think he came in for a game this season. What was it against? Was it against the Raiders? Maybe the Raiders or the Steelers. He came in at the end, and I guess they came up short. I think he got inside the 5, but he ran into a few sacks there. Mike says, you sound a lot like that when we played the Vikings, and we see what happened there. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you might be making that up. I thought they would beat the Vikings. I didn't think Sam Darnold would outplay CJ Stroud. But I mean, the line was -1 Vikings, or Texans, whatever it was. It was right there. That was going to be a tough game. I thought that they would win. I think because of CJ. I don't think I said there's no excuse to lose to the Vikings. I damn sure didn't say that. So I don't know. I don't think that's similar at all. I'm saying this is one of the most dog-butted, terrible teams in the league. And the Texans should not lose to them. That's what I'm saying about this. So the Texans are currently they're the second best team in the AFC. We should play Maye like we played Chicago, dial up pressure with stunts and blitzes. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they're going to play Drake May. They probably got to figure out what they want to do with Drake May. Do you watch North Carolina? Do you watch last year? Do you even let him impact you? I'm sure there's some sort of scouting report. I don't know what their strategy will be. It's just not a very it's just not a very good team at all. But again, NFL can happen anytime. So we'll see how that goes. And then we'll see what it looks like without Nico Collins. I think that's the other factor. I mean, let's be honest. The offense didn't look good the second half against Buffalo. It was a tale of two. Really, after those two drives, the second one was the Collins touchdown. We really didn't see much more. So if you want to look on the other side of things and you want to talk about stuff to perhaps be worried about, without Mixon, you don't have a run game. What does the pass game look like without Nico Collins? You're supposed to have one of the best three-headed monsters in the NFL. We haven't seen much from Tank Dell. What does that look like? Is New England able to take advantage of it? That's the other thing. Like CJ Stroud doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He had a couple the last game. He had the fumble, punched out from behind. He had the grounding, and he had the interception. Doesn't make a ton of mistakes. He had the early interception against the Vikings. So we'll see. We also haven't seen this team on the road. I mean, we got to see what they look like on the road. They've had, two straight home games the Texans have had. And the last time we saw them on the road was terrible. I mean, it was bad. It was terrible. What happened against the Vikings? 34-7. Now, Minnesota right now is the best team in the league. And Sam Darnold's an MVP candidate. Didn't think we'd be saying that either. We go back to the East. Kind of cancels out with the Vikings because I think the Vikings look like not a very good squad either. But since that disaster on the road, you face Jacksonville and Buffalo at home. Now you got to go on the road to New England. I don't think the atmosphere is insane there in New England anymore. But go get you a cold beer, Nathan. There you go. Getting another cold beer. There you go. I don't think the atmosphere is insane, but we haven't seen them on the road in a minute. So we'll see how that works. I thought Lassiter would have been, this is from the chat. I thought Lassiter would have been a soft spot, but no, it's still the Trench Warriors. Yeah, I mean, look, there's going to be struggles for Lassiter. I mean, we've seen a couple times where he's gotten beat and the quarterbacks failed to throw. He gave up the touchdown to Coleman the other day, 49-yarder. It was the only catch the guy had. He's been better than anyone could anticipate. Like he's played like a good first-round pick corner. Like that's how Lassiter has played. And he was drafted in the second. And there was talk about speed and stuff. It's early, but Kamari Lassiter at this point, like if the Texans would have had the 15th pick, if they would have kept their original pick in the 20s, and they would have drafted Kamari Lassiter in the first round, we would be sitting here saying that guy's been really good. That was a good pick. That's how good he's been. This is not like hey, maybe this guy will be a slot corner. Let's see what's up. He's performed like a good draft pick no matter where he's selected. So I agree with you. The soft spot thing, I don't know, because the thing about Lassiter is he was immediately the number 2 guy. It wasn't even like a figure it out type of thing. He was immediately a good guy. He was immediately on it. Jerome said we had a few good drives after Nico. They scored 9 points after that. So I don't like I guess when they turned the ball over in the second half, the drive to steal the 3, Okay. I mean, they scored 9 points. They won 23-20. So okay. They didn't score a touchdown. The second half, they completely fell off. I don't have the instance where Nico went out. But yeah, the offense was not as good without Nico. It was kind of blah. Yeah, Lassiter currently third in defensive rookie of the year. Yeah, that was a good value. That was good value on him. And it'll be. I mean, the New England doesn't really have anyone that can challenge you on offense. So I mean, if this happens, I mean, look, this has been one of those seasons where we've been able to nitpick, and you're able to do so because you feel like that this is a good squad. But if they lose to the Patriots, then all bets are off. It kind of cancels out. Thoughts on Teague Quitoriano re-signing? I think it's, I've been on the Quitoriano fan club. It almost turned into a bit, but I do like him when he's on the field. They signed him from the Bears practice squad. I think it's a good signing. I think he plays. I think they want another tight end. He was one of their better blocking tight ends before he got hurt. They thought, Brevin Jordan would be the guy. Brevin Jordan obviously got hurt, and you have Stover. I think Quitoriano can be. I think he can add a little something until he gets hurt. Hell, the dude got hurt. The dude got hurt after scoring a touchdown. Like his first game in the NFL 2 years ago, he got a touchdown. Then last year he got hurt. Then he got hurt this year. Then he goes to the preseason. He scores the touchdown. Then next thing you know, he's getting hurt. So, yeah, I don't know if you can rely on him to stay healthy when he's out there. I kind of like what he does. I don't hate that. Michael says, please don't take the Patriots too lightly. It doesn't matter to me. The Texans got to worry about that. It doesn't matter if I do. I think they suck. Someone says British Brooks went to IR. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday. Talked about old British being done. Yeah, and they did sign Holman from the Ravens. That's special teams, so we'll see what goes on there. Yeah. Is Brevin going to be back next season? Don't know. I would think so. I think it's probably a cheap deal. They like him. I don't think anyone's like breaking bread. He's out for the season, but I assume you're talking about next season. I would think so. I think he'd be back. Be cheap, man. Maybe getting him on like a cheap 2-year deal or something like that. There were a lot of things to like in the Bills game. Allen's 9-30 per performance for stars. Yeah, I mean that's historically ass. 32 years to have someone that low of a completion percentage throwing 30 times, which I thought was kind of weird. Like you knew he was off. Keep hearing about the Bills trying to run the ball. I know the stats didn't look like overwhelming at the end of the game, but did it not feel like James Cook could have perhaps had his way with the Texans if they would have just kept feeding him the rock? I know he had 20 carries, but did it not feel like if they give him the ball 30 times, you're a little bit more scared? I was a little bit concerned about that. I was a little bit concerned about that. For sure. I don't know what Eddie's asking. Are you drunk or too many comments? No, I'm not drunk. Chilling, man. Oh, because you are. Okay. So you're projecting. You're one of those projectors. You are a Dos Equis Rockets koozie right there. Is that what you're sipping on right now? Dos Equis? They got rid of that interesting man. Why did they do that? Wasn't that their whole damn identity? That was one of the best advertising things ever. Why did they get rid of the thing? I'm worried about Bobby's play calling on the road. Man, everybody hates Bobby. Everybody hates Bobby Slowick right now. He's the most hated 4-1 offensive coordinator of all time. I don't have a list in front of me, but I would say Bobby Slowick is the most hated offensive coordinator of all time. Daniel says we started stopping Cook. Yeah, I mean they started doing a better job on him. I just, you have Josh Allen throwing 30 times and he's not handling business. I probably would look. I probably would have handed him the rock. 45. Dark Man asks what I'm on.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets. Did you know what that was?
Now I
Me
do.
neither.
Did I speak on Robert Saleh? You can rewind, my friend. Of course I did. Yeah, I thought they stopped using Cook too. Should they hire Robert Saleh? If Robert Saleh wants to be the defensive coordinator, yes. Yes. I like Matt Burke, and they got a good thing going, but yes. I think he's either here or he goes back to San Francisco. But he's going to be a DC next year. Maybe he goes and works with McDaniel. But there's a pipeline for him. Hell, maybe Kubiak's son gets a damn job and Kubiak brings him in. There's a lot of options. He'll be there. But yeah, I'm a solid guy. I like Robert Saleh. I feel bad for him. Who's the third wide receiver this week? Damn. Damn. You stumped me there. I would say probably Hutchinson and Woods with maybe a little bit of Mechie sprinkled in. But I could see Mechie getting a little bit more run. It could go a number of ways. I don't know how much they like they were lining up Woods a lot outside. It felt like the other day. I don't have the exact stats in front of me. I could be very wrong about that. But I know he's returning punts and we saw him outside a couple of times. But yeah, I would probably say does it matter? Here's the thing. Tank Dell's getting what? A couple catches a game, a couple touches. Are they even functioning like a team that's just spreading the rock out to all the receivers? I don't know. I could see a scenario where John Mechie gets 3 catches for 32 yards. I could see a scenario where Hutchinson gets 2 catches and 1 long one for 40. I could see Robert Woods getting 4 catches for I don't know, 28 to 36 yards. I'm just throwing numbers out there. I don't feel like any of these guys are a real threat to just break out because they're the third receiver. I also think that if Mixon is back, maybe we see kind of a heavy dose of Mixon and maybe they sprinkle in some Schultz. But we'll see. But I just don't really look at this and say, okay, the number 3 is going to go completely crazy. Don't really see that. I don't know if the tight ends are ever going to be used a ton. Now, it did appear that with Nico Collins out of the game, it seems like CJ likes Schultz on third down. There were a couple times where they were unable to connect, and then in the second half, there were some pivotal third downs where CJ went to Schultz. So maybe we see a little bit more Schultz. Maybe Schultz is your number 3 receiver in the stats, but maybe not. He's not a wide receiver, so there's that. Maybe he's your third receiver. Maybe there's that. I can't figure out that. Thoughts on Tommy's punts? They suck. they're freaking awful. He's been terrible. I mean, and it's actually shocking because I did not anticipate that. His body of work and what Tommy Townsend has been and what he is here, and he was in practice. I promise you. He was booming him in practice. He sucks right now. Now, I kind of have a weird theory because I'm kind of one of those conspiracy theorist type of people. And y'all know this from from following along my stuff. Not crazy ass conspiracies, but trying to make something out of something. I wonder if because you go back to what he did in Kansas City for a long time, what he did in practice, And then in the first game of the season, he has a punt blocked. And it's literally the first time in his career that he's had a punt block. Like, he never had a punt blocked in Kansas City the entire time he was there. I think it was 4 years in Kansas City. Never had a punt block. That's the first time. So, you try to make sense of it and you try to say, okay, this guy's not good. He's supposed to be one of the best punters in the league. Just a couple of months ago when we were watching him, he was booming the F out of the ball, like insanely. And now all of a sudden he's one of the worst punters in the league. I do wonder if there's like some sort of mental thing where you get your punt blocked and then all of a sudden you're just not punting the same. That's my theory. Is that a dumbass theory or not? You tell me. I'm trying to make sense of it. Because I just didn't see a possible. Maybe he just sucks. I just didn't. It didn't look that way. It's got to be weird. You punt the ball and then just gets boomed. Maybe some guys aren't used to that. I know he shouldn't be. It's never happened. So that's kind of my theory. Because I'm trying to make sense of it. Because there was no way in hell that I thought this guy would suck. He sucked. He's been bad. Maybe I'll ask Frank Ross about that. Maybe I'll ask Frank Ross about that. That'll be my question to Frank Ross. But there's probably going to be a couple because his special teams have been terrible. He's got to answer to these guys fielding punts inside the 5. But that's my punter. Thanks to Sarah for getting that out of me. That is my punter. That is my punter theory of the day. And I think I've met my punter theory quota for the year. And it's October. And there was doubt that I would get it. It was one punter theory a year. And we got that. I love this. This is like this is the fan who feels like we're not getting respect. No disrespect to you, SZETH. How the F you say that?
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets. Did you know what that was?
Why?
Me neither.
Yeah, me neither. Why does it feel like all of the media, rest in peace, Richard Dirt, why does it feel like all the media is attributing Allen's terrible passing stats to him having a bad game and zero talk about the Texans D? Because Josh Allen's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's never had a game like that. And I think it's as simple as that. I think it's as simple as that. I haven't really noticed it, to be honest with you. I haven't seen like big national takes. Like all the national stuff I see is they're just loving up on the Texans. I feel like the Texans, they might not get like the most attention, but I don't see too many national media folks, at least from my consumption. Your consumption's different than my consumption. Your body, your choice. But I don't feel like the Texans are like getting disrespected or shortchanged. I just think Josh Allen's a good quarterback. What the hell's wrong with him? But on this channel, we started out saying that was impressive, and you can't minimize that. I do think the defense, though, has looked vulnerable at times, and opponents have been unable to take advantage. But, yeah. Who knows? Shout out to Tommy Townsend. Maybe they put him on IR. I don't know. Maybe he's hurt. But yeah, I'm gonna ask Frank about the yippies, the yippee ice. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with you, Tommy Townsend? Do you think this is the other theory? Do you think the man bun is kind of catching up to Tommy Townsend? Do you think the man bun is finally caught up to Tommy Townsend? Is it time for Tommy Townsend to get rid of that man bun? Maybe he needs a haircut. So hot here. The helmet, like it probably gets like more sticky. Maybe his like neck kind of hurts when he's punting. Are we giving Mixon another week off? I don't know if they've given. I mean, I'm being semantic today. I apologize for this. I don't know if they've like given him a week off. You know, I just don't think he's been ready to go. But I get what you're saying. I think if Mixon can go, he's going to go, because with Nico out, you probably need him. Figure it out. Maybe you're not handing him the ball 30 times or whatever the hell you did week 1. But if Mixon wants to go, I think he's going to go. I don't know how close the guy is. I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to be one of these guessers when it comes to injuries. You can read between the lines with me on injuries. If you're a regular on this stream, you know what's going on with this team. You have a pretty good idea of injuries. Christian Harris, I said, 4 weeks. Hey, guys, slow down. Slow down. D'Amico's answered twice now. No Christian Harris. British Brooks, hey, we're not going to see him again. Nico Collins 2 weeks ago. Hey, don't be worried about that. I have no idea what the hell's up with Joe Mixon. None. I don't know what's going on with him. He seems to be a guy that wants to play. He's not like moving around like he's bad or anything like that. Like injured, too bad. I don't know. Dameon Pierce, I thought Dameon Pierce was ready to go last week. Maybe that was just like an inactive decision. I will be interested to see if Mixon's out and Pierce is good to go. Do they activate him instead of Akers? I mean, Pierce was all. I mean, he was moving around like crazy at practice the other day. He looked like a kid that had been in timeout that finally gets to go back to recess. Do they still have recess at schools? I hope so. Been canceling a lot of stuff on these kids. I hope they still got recess. What's up with Jake Hansen? He's banged up. I don't know like the specifics of what's up with Hansen. The thing about Hansen, like I thought that this year with Harris out, and I think this is kind of something that's kind of changed too. And I wonder what this looks like when Harris gets back. But I assumed that, and they did it in preseason. Like they didn't really show this defense as much as they have. But they're basically playing Petrie as a linebacker. Like Petrie's basically a linebacker. They're playing 2 linebackers in Toto and Aziz Al-Shair. And I thought before they took this as far as they did with the new Petrie role, I thought, man, you know what? Jake Hansen's probably going to play a little bit more defense. No, that hadn't been the case. So I don't know what's up with Hansen. We'll probably get a better grasp of that tomorrow. Like today's the off day. Tomorrow's where the injury report, we get the first look at it. So we'll figure that out. See what's going on there. We didn't even need a run game to beat the Bills. That's true. That's true. Although they did get the Akers touchdown after like 2 runs, the 11 and then the TD. Do you think they bump Petrie back up sometimes and play all 3 linebackers? No, I don't. I don't think they want Petrie playing like deep safety, and rightfully so. It's not pretty. We saw it. So I don't know what they do. Maybe there's a little bit more 3 linebacker, and maybe they try to get creative with it. But I don't know if it's luck. I don't know if it's creativity. Maybe it's a combination of both. It's not getting talked about enough, at least with some folks. Me and Stutes kind of beat it to death. Kind of obsessed with it, honestly. Might have to get like a restraining order on me. But I'm obsessed with the fact that they're only playing 2 corners and 2 linebackers. I think that's insane. They're only playing 2 corners and 2 linebackers. And it's not only that. They're doing that, and it's not like safety is like an overwhelming strength of this ball club. That's what's crazier. Like if you were a team that had like just badass safeties, then okay, maybe you can make some sense of that. They're playing 2 corners, they're playing 2 linebackers, and they're holding Josh Allen to 9 of 30 for 130 yards. I don't know that that's sustainable, but I think it's pretty damn impressive that they're pulling it off. What does that look like if Okudah comes back and if Christian Harris comes back this year? It's got to look different. But I think the fact that your defensive staff, and I call it D'Amico's defense. I'm sure Burke and all them contribute. But the fact that you found a role for Jalen Petrie, who looked lost last year, and I always said, even when I was talking about upgrading the safety, that there's going to be a place on a football field for Jalen Petrie because he can play. I didn't know that it would be this good. I didn't know he'd be able to hold up this much. I don't know if he's going to be able to hold up over the course of the season. When it comes to people, I'm talking like when it comes to finding him in coverage, because I think coaches are starting to do that. But the fact that they've been able to do that, incredible. It's incredible. I think it's incredible that they've been able to do that on defense. Bullock is playing well. Bullock's playing his ass off, man. He's getting better each time. There's some mistakes. Fell down the other day. Could have been beat. Also had the hustle play against the Jags. Look, there's a reason that's the most excited they've ever gotten in the war room when they've made a pick. They've only been doing this for 2 years, but D'Amico and Caserio, go back and watch it. Go watch it. Go watch the way they reacted when they drafted Kalen Bullock. They were pumped about that. I think he's one of those guys who's just next year he's going to come in looking all swollen stuff. But I mean, he's got the right mindset. I don't know when we see Jimmy Ward. I think Jimmy Ward's going to be out for a while. Have they announced that yet? Not yet. Yeah, I don't think we see Jimmy Ward for a little bit. He probably needs to ice up. But yeah, that's what we're going to see. Bullock is no longer a luxury. He's going to have to step up, and I don't think people were as nervous about that as they once were. We get to watch this secondary develop for the next 3 to 4 years. Well, yeah, you're going to have to sign Stingley eventually. This is year 3, 4. They're definitely going to pick up the 5th-year option. And then you got Lassiter, and you got Bullock. Yeah, Petrie's going to be on the final year of his deal next year. I could see them giving Petrie like a extension after this year because they like him so much. Seguin, shout out to Seguin, man. Love me some Seguin. Love that whole area. Shout out to you, my friend. DP, best YouTube show daily watcher from Seguin. What's up, man? Appreciate you. He definitely has some frame to fill out. He's skinny as hell, but man, he's tall. The other thing is, like, are kids still growing at like 21? Like, you see people from like 21 to 25, like kids, like when they first come into the league. Yeah, he's still. I mean, he's a young man. I mean, you talk to Bullock, it's just like, man, this is a fine young man. Like, I think this is the first year that I've used young man. All these guys are like in their early 20s, man. My late 30s. It's like, it's your birthday? Oh, you've been able to, you can drink. You've been able to drink. Congratulations. It's insane. Do you think Patterson was better last year than Scruggs in this year? No, I don't. I don't at all. I think there's been some times where Juice has struggled, but Patterson was terrible in run blocking. I think CJ kind of helped a little bit. I think Patterson's a fine backup center, I think. We saw him against the Vikings, wasn't great. But yeah, I don't. Pawn Shop 84, swarming the soupy.
You ain't never hate.
Swarm.
I miss Steven Nelson. I don't. Do not. I think Kamari Lassiter is playing more than well enough for him. I do think Steven Nelson had a good year last year. He left it all on the field. They don't get where they got without him. But do I miss him? I do not. He's a weasel. The thing I don't like, the thing that kind of bothers me about Steven Nelson is that, like, he tweets all this stuff, and then I see him on his like podcast and stuff, and it's like just completely different. Like, it's like, man, that's not even remotely how you were talking. Like, you were talking crazy about these dudes. It's like, yeah, they're athletes, and yeah, they need to. Ever since he chewed gum on his podcast too. the tell-all about Nick Caserio. Like, people were just dying for that. This is what really happened with Nick and the vest. I mean, we had fun with it locally when it was there. We kind of moved on from it. Like, I didn't need like the tell-all. Steven Nelson tells all. Basically summarizes what was blatantly obvious. Can't wait to replace Shaq Mason. You're not a Shaq Mason guy, huh? I understand. Very much. I think Steven Nelson's just like a little bit wacky. I think he drinks, man. Like, well, I don't need to think that. That's not irresponsible. I think you see him on his podcast. He's blitzed. I can relate. Hey, y'all see me like just smashed. But yeah, I've seen him do it, and he's like opening the bottle on there. Hey, what we sipping on, man? Then he'll go on Twitter and say some crazy stuff. I don't know. It was weird for me when we interviewed him and he took exception to the co-host. Although the co-host doesn't do any prep or anything, but he was right on this one. He said that Steven Nelson, the underdog, and Steven Nelson played dumb on it. I thought that was weird. But I also think he's kind of hurt because I think he still wants to play football. I think he's nuts. And I think it's a good quality to have for what he does, for what he plays. But I think he's kind of hurt that he's not still playing. I also think he kind of overvalues what he probably should get. So that's what I think about Steven Nelson. So we've met the Steven Nelson quota. We've met the punter quota. On to practice. On to New England. As D'Amico Ryans told me this Monday. D'Amico will speak. Manana, the players should speak tomorrow as well. I know the NFLPA is talking about this locker room stuff. I don't give a crap what y'all do. The Texans have it cush, though, and they have it pretty well laid out. If they actually tried to implement Cincinnati's policy, a lot of these players would actually have to be doing a lot more than they already do. So we'll see how that goes. Either way, I don't care. If it's podium, whatever, we'll figure it out. And that'll be the end of it. So practice resumes tomorrow. We'll keep an eye on Mixon. We'll keep an eye on Damian Pierce. We'll keep an eye on these offensive linemen. We'll see if anyone else appears on the injury report. Don't anticipate any Nico Collins. And then SNL, we'll get you started at 9 a.m. as always on Tuesday, Thursdays. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Thanks for the interaction in the chat. Always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Shout out to BetUS. YouTube 150. YouTube 150 is the promo code at BetUS to get in the game. Once that line drops, man, where the hell is that going to go? Who knows?
We not too plugged in, daily digital on YouTube. We got taste for days, opinions to give. We got takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number one. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk, yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize, every angle's what we really do. We the source, we the pulse of the city too.